The galaxy had known war for 10,000 years. Civilizations had risen, conquered, collapsed, and been forgotten. Species had developed weapons that could crack moons, deploy plagues that could sterilize entire atmospheres, and unleash photon arrays capable of boiling oceans from orbit. The Galactic Conclave, a coalition of 47 sentient species, had catalogued every known terror the universe had to offer. They thought they had seen everything. They had not yet met Earth. High Commander Zyrex Thorne stood at the observation deck of the Varanthian Supremacy, his 4 eyes scanning the blue-green marble that hung in the void below. He had commanded fleets that had raised civilizations. He had watched supernovas swallow star systems. He had negotiated surrender terms with species who wept in 17 different chemical frequencies. He had never, in 400 years of military service, felt his primary heart stutter. Until now. "Intelligence report," he said, his voice a low rumble that vibrated the walls of his command chamber. His adjutant, a slender Falori with nervous tendrils, stepped forward. "The humans have responded to our blockade, High Commander." "How many warships?" A pause. "None, sir." Zyrex turned. "Explain." "They sent animals, High Commander." 3 standard cycles earlier, the Galactic Conclave had issued Earth its ultimatum: surrender your planet's resources, or face total orbital bombardment. The Conclave had done this before. It was efficient. Clean. Species surrendered, or species were removed. There was no third option. Admiral Ethan Cross had read the ultimatum twice, set it down on his desk aboard the USN Resolute, and poured himself a cup of coffee. Then he smiled. Not the diplomatic smile that junior officers gave to superiors. Not the tight, grim smile of a soldier preparing to die with honor. A genuine, curious, deeply unsettling smile. "They want to see what scares us," he said to no one in particular. "Fine. Let's show them what scares us." He began making calls. The first transport arrived in orbit 3 days later. Zyrex watched it on his sensor array, a lumbering cargo vessel, unmarked, running no weapons signatures whatsoever. His tactical team had prepared to destroy it immediately, but something made him hesitate. It was too slow. Too deliberate. Whatever was inside, the humans wanted him to see it. "Scan it," he ordered. The scan results came back in seconds. His adjutant read them aloud, and then stopped. "Continue," Zyrex said. "Is, sir, the translation matrix may be malfunctioning. The biological signatures aboard, they are not human." "What are they?" The adjutant's tendrils went pale. "Thousands of different species, High Commander. Predators. All of them predators. The computer is still cataloging. We have 4-legged apex hunters, some massing over 200 kilograms. Scaled ambush predators with neurotoxic secretions. Arthropods the size of ground vehicles. Winged creatures capable of speeds exceeding." "These are Earth creatures?" "Yes, sir. The humans call them animals. Common wildlife. Some are, apparently, domesticated." Zyrex said nothing for a very long time. The Falori had a concept in their language: wrath, the horror that comes not from a weapon, but from the existence of a thing. The dread you feel when you realize the universe contains something that should not be possible. Zyrex felt wrath for the first time in his life. Because he had now reviewed the full catalogue of Earth fauna, and the picture it painted was of a world that had, for hundreds of millions of years, been a crucible of mutual annihilation. Earth's creatures had not been shaped by a gentle biosphere. They had been forged in an endless, grinding war of every species against every other species, and somehow, impossibly, they were all still alive. A creature called the honey badger, less than 15 kilograms, that would attack animals 30 times its size and not stop even when mortally wounded. Something called a Komodo dragon, which used bacteria in its mouth as a biological weapon system. The mantis shrimp, a creature barely longer than a human hand, that struck with the force of a small-caliber weapon and could see 16 color channels while Xyrex's own species could only perceive 4. The tardigrade, microscopic, invisible to the naked eye, that could survive hard vacuum, intense radiation, temperatures near absolute zero, and pressures that would crush most known materials. And then there were humans themselves. A species that had evolved in that same crucible. A species that had looked at all of those creatures, the apex predators, the ambush killers, the venomous and the clawed and the armored, and instead of dying, had decided to domesticate some of them and eat the rest. A species that had invented something called extreme sports, which was, as far as the conclave xenoanthropologists could determine, voluntarily placing themselves in situations designed to kill them, for entertainment. A species whose immune system was so aggressively evolved that it would sometimes attack the human's own body simply because it had nothing else to fight. Xyrex felt a chill work through all 3 of his circulatory systems. Admiral Ethan Cross opened a communication channel to the Varanthian supremacy. When Xyrex's face appeared on screen, 4 eyes, gray-green scales, a jaw that could unhinge vertically, Cross nodded politely, as though greeting a colleague at a conference. "Hi, Commander Thorne," he said. "I understand you've been reviewing our delegation. What is the meaning of this?" Xyrex demanded. "This is not a military response. This is an introduction," Cross said. "You told us to surrender or be destroyed. We wanted you to understand something first." He set down his coffee cup. "We're not unique in the universe. We know that. You've encountered predator species before, the Kroth, the Veraci, the Shin. You beat them. You know how to fight predators." He leaned forward slightly. "But here's what you haven't seen." He gestured off-screen, and a viewport behind him opened. Inside the cargo bay of the Resolute, a Bengal tiger sat calmly in a modified enclosure, watching the camera with amber eyes. Beside it, separated by reinforced glass, a saltwater crocodile, 6 meters long, older than most human governments, lay absolutely still, patient in the way that only perfect predators can be patient. And beyond that, in a temperature-controlled chamber, a glass tank of box jellyfish drifted in silence, tentacles trailing, nearly invisible, carrying venom that could kill a human in under 3 minutes. "Every creature you see here," Cross said quietly, "evolved alongside us. We grew up with them. We studied them, feared them, competed with them, and ultimately understood them." He looked directly at Xyrex. "We are the species that looked at all of this," he gestured wide, "and survived anyway. We didn't evolve in a safe world, High Commander. We evolved in the most aggressively lethal biosphere in the catalogued galaxy." Xyrex said nothing. "You've beaten predators before," Cross continued. "But you've never fought a species that learned from predators. We think like they do. We are them, just the version that one." He paused. "We're not asking you to surrender. We're asking you to reconsider." The Galactic Conclave convened an emergency session 48 hours later. 17 species voted immediately for withdrawal. 12 others requested additional time to review Earth's biological survey data. 6 called for complete diplomatic normalization with immediate effect. The vote to lift the blockade passed unanimously. High Commander Xyrex Thorne submitted his formal report to the Conclave archives. In the section marked Primary Threat Assessment, he wrote a single line that would be studied by military scholars for generations. "The humans are not dangerous because of their weapons. They are dangerous because of their world. They are the apex predator of an apex predator biosphere, and they do not know they should be afraid of us." Admiral Ethan Cross stood at the viewport of the Resolute as the Conclave fleet turned and began its long withdrawal. His first officer stopped beside him. "Did you actually think that would work, sir?" Cross watched the alien warships recede into the dark. "I thought it had a good chance," he admitted. "Any species advanced enough to build a blockade fleet is advanced enough to do threat analysis. And when they analyzed us, really analyzed us, not just our weapons but our world, I figured they'd do the math. And the math said? Cross picked up his coffee. That we're the only species in the galaxy that looks at a shark and thinks, I wonder what that tastes like. He took a sip. That tends to give people pause. Outside, the last alien ship folded into jump space and vanished. Earth spun on, blue and green and teeming, wholly unbothered, full of creatures that had been trying to kill each other for 400 million years, and somehow, magnificently, we're all still here.